When people see you happy, when they see love that is strong and unshakable, not everyone will celebrate it. Some will admire it, but others, driven by envy, will try to poison it. Jealousy is dangerous because it doesn't come at you directly. It hides in smiles, in fake congratulations, in subtle comments meant to stir doubt between you and your partner. And if you're not vigilant, it seeps in and begins to corrode what you've built. Today, I'm going to show you how to protect your love, guard your relationship from toxic eyes, and keep what's most valuable to you safe. Jealousy is one of the most dangerous emotions that can infiltrate a relationship, not because it announces itself loudly, but because it works in silence, creeping in like smoke under a closed door. It is sabotage dressed in subtlety. It often doesn't come from enemies or strangers. It comes from people close enough to observe you, people who smile to your face but conceal resentment behind their eyes. When they see love that is strong, committed, and joyful, it threatens them because it mirrors what they lack or what they fear they will never achieve. Instead of celebrating your happiness, they quietly seek to undermine it, planting doubts, stirring conflict, and chipping away at the foundation you've built. That is how jealousy works. It does not storm the gates, it seeps into the cracks. What makes jealousy so powerful is its ability to disguise itself. It can look like concern when someone warns you about your partner without proof. It can look like advice when they question your choices under the guise of helping you. It can even look like humor when someone makes a joke about your relationship that leaves a sting. These small, seemingly harmless gestures accumulate over time, creating tension where none existed. If you're not paying attention, you start to second, guess yourself and your partner. Suddenly, what was once solid begins to feel unstable, not because of anything wrong between you, but because of the influence of outside voices motivated by envy. That is silent sabotage, an attack that works slowly but relentlessly. To understand jealousy's danger, you have to recognize that it rarely attacks love directly. It doesn't say, "I want to destroy your relationship." Instead, it operates in whispers and shadows, feeding insecurity and planting seeds of mistrust. Maybe someone points out a flaw in your partner, or they highlight moments where they think you deserve better. Maybe they act supportive but secretly compare your relationship to others, making you feel less certain about what you have. Jealousy thrives when it convinces you that the bond you cherish isn't as strong as you believe. And once doubt takes root, the damage begins. That is why jealousy is so destructive. It doesn't need to break the relationship from the outside. It manipulates you into breaking it from within. When you're in love, it's natural to want to share your joy with the world, but this openness can also invite jealousy into your space. The more visible your happiness, the more vulnerable it becomes to toxic eyes. That doesn't mean you should hide your relationship, but it does mean you must be selective about who has access to it. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your love story. Some people only show up to throw stones at the glass. Protecting your relationship starts with awareness, recognizing the subtle ways jealousy presents itself and refusing to let it influence the way you see your partner. The moment you sense someone trying to inject doubt, you need to step back and ask yourself, is this about genuine concern or is it envy disguised as care? Jealousy is powerful because it feeds on silence. It works best when you ignore it, when you allow those little comments or subtle looks to go unchallenged. The way to disarm it is through vigilance and clarity, being clear about who you trust, what you value, and how much weight you give to other people's opinions. Love, when strong and honest, can withstand outside attacks, but only if you recognize those attacks for what they are. Jealousy will always exist because people will always compare what they have to what you enjoy. The danger is not in jealousy existing. The danger is in allowing it to creep unnoticed into your relationship and take root in the spaces you leave unguarded. Protecting your love means understanding that not every person who enters your life should have access to the deepest parts of your relationship. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are lines that preserve and protect what matters most. When you allow everyone to involve themselves in your relationship, You open the door for unwanted influence and, in many cases, for envy to slip in. Setting firm boundaries is not about being secretive or unapproachable. It is about being intentional. It is about knowing who has earned the right to be part of your inner circle and who should remain at a distance. The truth is, not everyone who smiles at you wishes the best for you. Some people thrive on dysfunction, others thrive on gossip, and if you don't establish boundaries, you end up giving them power over the most vulnerable part of your life, your love. Boundaries become essential because relationships thrive on trust, intimacy, and respect, not on the opinions of outsiders. Imagine constantly letting others comment on your relationship, whether it's friends who offer unasked for advice or family members who overstep and try to dictate how you should live. Over time, those external voices begin to drown out your own. You start questioning choices you once felt confident about. You begin wondering whether your partner is good enough or whether you're doing the right thing, not because there's any real issue between the two of you, but because someone else planted the idea. By setting firm boundaries, you control the narrative. You decide who gets access and how much weight their opinions hold. That is how you keep your love strong and uncompromised. Boundaries also protect your energy. Love requires focus, effort, and presence. And when you are constantly defending your relationship from outside noise, you drain the very energy that should be invested into building it. People will always have something to say, out of care, but many out of comparison and envy. They project their insecurities onto your happiness. If you allow them to invade your space, their issues become your issues. Boundaries are what allow you to say, "This is my relationship," not open territory for others to dissect. When you enforce those lines, you reclaim power over your own happiness, and you free yourself from the exhausting task of seeking approval from people who were never meant to validate your choices. Protecting your love also means protecting your partner from unnecessary attacks. When boundaries are weak, outsiders feel comfortable criticizing, mocking, or comparing, and over time, this chips away at your partner's confidence and the trust between you. But when you stand firm and make it clear that certain conversations are off limits, that gossip and disrespect will not be entertained, you create a safe space where your partner knows they are valued and defended. That security strengthens your bond. A relationship thrives when both people feel that they are on the same team, united against external pressure. Boundaries build that unity by drawing a clear line between what belongs to the two of you and what does not. Some people fear setting boundaries because they don't want to upset others, but the reality is, people who are genuinely supportive will respect your limits. It is only those with hidden motives who will resist them. And that resistance is proof of why those boundaries are necessary. Protecting your love requires courage, the courage to disappoint outsiders in order to safeguard what matters most inside. Boundaries are not about cutting people off. They are about filtering the influence you allow into your relationship. When you practice this consistently, you create a fortress around your love, not an impenetrable wall, but a strong shield that keeps envy, manipulation, and toxic energy exactly where they belong, on the outside. One of the most destructive tactics jealousy uses is the whisper. It rarely confronts you with outright hostility. Instead, it slithers in through comments, jokes, or suggestions designed to plant seeds of doubt. Those toxic whispers can sound harmless at first. A friend might say, "Are you sure your partner is being honest with you?" Or someone might casually mention that they saw your partner talking to someone else in a way that seemed suspicious. These remarks may not be backed by evidence, but they are carefully crafted to spark insecurity. If you allow them to take root, those whispers can grow louder in your mind than the truth you live with your partner every day. Suddenly, you're questioning their loyalty, their intentions, and their words, not because of what you know, but because of what someone else suggested. The danger of toxic whispers is that they play directly into human psychology. Our brains are wired to protect us from threats, and when someone hints at a possible betrayal, our instinct is to pay attention. We don't want to miss warning signs, so we entertain the possibility, but the problem is when jealousy is the motive behind those whispers, there was never a real threat to begin with. It is manufactured drama, carefully delivered to unsettle your peace. And because it comes from someone you may trust, a friend, a coworker, even a family member, you are more likely to believe it. That's how jealousy works. It manipulates relationships by using your own trust in others against you until you begin to doubt the very person who has earned your love. When you let these whispers override your partner's truth, you open the door to a cycle of suspicion. Instead of listening to your partner's actions, their words, and the trust you've built together, you're listening to outsiders who don't share your love, don't live your life, and don't carry your bond. Over time, this weakens the foundation of your relationship. You start interrogating your partner for reassurance, demanding explanations for things that don't need explaining, and looking for signs of betrayal where none exist. This creates unnecessary tension and conflict, giving jealousy exactly what it wants. The more you allow toxic whispers to dictate your perception, the less space there is for trust, intimacy, and peace. The key is to recognize that no one outside your relationship knows the full truth of it. People only see fragments, and fragments are easy to twist. They don't see the late night talks, the moments of support, the sacrifices made, or the ways your partner shows up for you daily. Outsiders see snapshots, and jealousy thrives on turning those snapshots into misleading narratives. When you give those whispers more power than your partner's truth, you betray not only them, but also the bond you've chosen to build together. That's why it's crucial to stop toxic whispers at the door, to filter out noise before it contaminates the clarity of your connection. Protecting your relationship from this form of jealousy requires discipline. It means training yourself to ask, does this align with what I know of my partner, or is this someone else's projection? It means giving more weight to the actions you experience every day than to rumors and suggestions designed to divide you. It means making a conscious choice to trust the truth you've built with your partner rather than the envy of someone on the outside. Jealousy feeds on your willingness to listen, and when you stop giving it your ear, you starve it of power. The strength of your relationship lies not in the absence of whispers, but in your ability to rise above them, to let your partner's truth be louder than any toxic voice that tries to intrude. Trust is the lifeblood of any strong relationship, and jealousy knows this better than anyone. That is why it aims straight at trust, because once doubt is planted, love begins to weaken. When you and your partner trust each other fully, there is little room for insecurity to thrive. But when jealousy creeps in, it exploits the smallest cracks. It feeds on silence, unanswered questions, missed calls, or even harmless interactions. What could be brushed aside as nothing becomes magnified into suspicion, and suspicion is the beginning of disconnection. That is why jealousy does not need to destroy a relationship with grand gestures. It only needs to introduce enough doubt to make you question the person you love. The danger lies in how easily doubt can grow. Trust is built slowly, through consistent actions, honesty, and reliability. Yet it can be shaken by one rumor, one careless comment, or one misunderstanding. Jealousy uses this imbalance to its advantage. It thrives on the fact that people remember pain and betrayal more vividly than moments of loyalty. Even if your partner has shown you unwavering commitment, one suggestion of unfaithfulness can overshadow it in your mind if you let jealousy take hold. The truth is, jealousy does not have to prove anything. It only has to whisper, "What if?" and suddenly the security you felt begins to waver. Strengthening trust means understanding that it cannot be passive. It is not simply about saying you trust your partner. It is about actively choosing to stand by that trust when outside influences attempt to undermine it. When someone tries to inject jealousy into your relationship, you have to pause and ask yourself whether their words align with what you know from lived experience. Does your partner's history support what is being suggested, or is it inconsistent with who they have shown themselves to be? Jealousy wants you to ignore your own evidence, your own intuition, and instead focus on speculation. Protecting your relationship means refusing to let speculation outweigh reality. Trust also grows stronger when both partners are transparent with one another. Jealousy finds less room to breathe in relationships where communication is open and honest. If you can talk about insecurities without judgment, if you can share concerns without fear of being dismissed, then jealousy loses its grip. It cannot manipulate silence or secrecy because there is none to exploit. This is why couples who practice openness often stand stronger against outside attacks. They have already built a habit of addressing potential doubts directly, rather than allowing them to fester in the dark. Jealousy hates light, and communication is light. It is also important to recognize that jealousy does not just live outside your relationship. Sometimes it lives within you, in your own insecurities, past experiences, or fears of abandonment. If you do not confront those inner doubts, they become easy targets for external jealousy to manipulate. By strengthening your own sense of self-worth, by knowing that you are deserving of love and respect, you reduce the power jealousy has over you. When you are confident in who you are and in what you share with your partner, whispers from the outside lose their sting. They may attempt to shake your trust, but you will not be so easily moved. At the end of the day, jealousy thrives where doubt lives. That means your defense is to minimize doubt and maximize trust. Trust is not blind. It is a choice you reaffirm every day through actions, honesty, and loyalty. And it is also a choice to reject voices that try to erode that trust. When you focus on strengthening the bond between you and your partner, jealousy finds no oxygen to survive. It may knock at the door, but it cannot enter because trust has already fortified the walls. A relationship is one of the most valuable assets you will ever possess, and like any valuable asset, it requires protection. Too often people treat love as something that will simply sustain itself without effort, but the truth is, anything precious is vulnerable. Just as you would not leave your home unlocked or your most important possessions unguarded, you cannot afford to leave your relationship exposed to outside threats. When you love deeply, you are not just protecting a connection between two people, you are safeguarding trust, intimacy, and the future you are building together. Guarding your relationship like a fortress does not mean shutting the world out entirely. It means recognizing what is sacred and making sure it is defended against jealousy, gossip, and toxic energy. Love attracts attention because true connection is rare. When people see something authentic, something strong, they notice. Some will admire it, but others will envy it. That envy can lead to interference, whether intentional or unconscious, and if you are not vigilant, it can corrode your bond from the outside in. Guarding your love means being proactive, not reactive. It means anticipating that there will always be toxic eyes watching and choosing to reinforce your relationship before those eyes ever have the chance to cause harm. Like a fortress, your relationship needs strong walls, but it also needs watchtowers. You and your partner must be aware of who is allowed into your inner circle and who must remain at a distance. The metaphor of a fortress is powerful because a fortress is not fragile. It is strong, deliberate, and designed to withstand attacks. Guarding your relationship requires the same mindset. You cannot simply hope jealousy won't find its way in. You must prepare for it. That preparation looks like clear boundaries, honest communication, and a united front with your partner. When outsiders attempt to stir conflict or plant seeds of doubt, your response must be immediate and decisive. Just as a fortress does not open its gates to strangers, your relationship should not give power to voices that seek to divide you. This level of protection is not about paranoia, it is about respect. for your partner, for your love, and for the life you are creating together. Guarding your love also means guarding your time and attention. Relationships weaken when they are neglected, and neglect gives jealousy room to thrive. When you pour your energy into distractions, into validation from outside sources, or into comparisons with others, you take away from the strength of your bond. A fortress that is poorly maintained eventually crumbles, not because of one great attack, but because of small cracks left unattended. Protecting your relationship means consistently choosing to prioritize it, to maintain it, and to ensure it remains strong enough to resist whatever pressures may come from the outside world. There will always be people who cannot stand to see love flourish, who feel threatened by happiness they do not have, or who take pleasure in watching others struggle. This is an unfortunate reality, but it is also why your fortress must stand tall. Love is not just about passion or connection, it is about commitment to guarding what you value most fiercely. When you see your relationship as something worthy of defense, you treat it with the seriousness it deserves. You build trust as walls, loyalty as gates, and communication as your strongest shield. You understand that your partner is not just someone you love, but someone you protect, just as they protect you. And in that mutual protection lies the strength to withstand anything jealousy or toxic eyes attempt to throw at you.